Hello everyone, I'm the storyteller, and I'm here to help you drift off tonight. I know you might use this video to fall asleep, so before we begin, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people discover these strange, quiet stories. Also, I'm curious, where are you from? And what time are you listening to this? Now, get comfortable, breathe, let your eyes grow heavy, and let's go somewhere dark, somewhere deep. Imagine this, a fire burning for over 60 years. No black smoke rising, no roaring flames like something out of a movie. This fire doesn't need to explode. It smolders silently, but it never sleeps. It lives deep underground where you can't see it, but you can feel it, like the hot, humid breath from the heart of the earth. And that fire, day after day, month after month, year after year, it eats away at everything above. The land, the homes, the schools, the memories. It burned down a once thriving community of over 1,000 people. And then, just like that, it erased a town off the map. Centralia, Pennsylvania. The town slowly burned by the very earth beneath its feet. 1962, a peaceful year for most of America. But in a small town called Centralia, Pennsylvania, something was stirring beneath the quiet surface of the earth. Centralia wasn't some forgotten place. It was a tight-knit community nestled between grassy hills and summer maple trees. But what no one said out loud was that the very ground they lived on sat atop a sleeping giant made of coal. Since the 19th century, dozens of anthracite coal mines had been carved deep into the earth here. When the big companies pulled out, they left behind a maze of abandoned shafts, pitch black, crumbling, exhaling through unsealed vents. No one really knew how many tunnels still lay beneath, and frankly no one cared. Until May 27, 1962, a Sunday right before Memorial Day. The town council wanted to clean up the dump near Oddfellows Cemetery. Not for environmental reasons, just because it was an eyesore. They chose the cheapest option, burn the trash right where it sat. A huge pile of garbage was tossed into the mouth of an old open-pit mine. From above, it looked like ash, paper, and a faint smell of smoke. But below was something else. They lit the fire. A few volunteer firefighters stood nearby, hoses ready, trenches dug. They thought they were in control. But what waited beneath didn't play by human rules. The fire didn't go out in a few hours. It kept burning, slow, silent. Then it crept downward. No one noticed, but tiny sparks had slipped through the thin layer of soil and found their way into a leftover seam of exposed coal. Anthracite, that's black, volatile, a fuel born to feed disaster. When the flames reached it, there was no explosion. No sudden flash of light, just heat slowly spreading beneath the ground, like a wild beast, waking up after a long, undisturbed sleep. The real nightmare began when the fire found one of the old ventilation shafts, left unsealed for decades. From there it crawled deeper, until it reached a collapsed mine shaft barely held together. And finally, like a fish slipping into the ocean, it dropped into the vast underground network of Centralia's coal mines. A massive maze, hollow, rich with oxygen, and holding millions of tons of coal. At that point, it wasn't just a fire anymore. It was a living creature. No eyes, no legs, but it knew exactly where to go. It swam beneath the town, slithering through the mine shafts like poison veins under skin. No roar, no rush. But it never stopped, and above it all, people kept living. They went to school, to work, to church, clueless that right beneath their feet, a town had begun to burn from the inside, brick by brick, foundation by foundation, street corner by street corner, not about to burn, but already smoldering second by second. No one heard it scream, because this thing made no sound, but it devoured everything. At first, no one thought much of it, just a trash fire lit near the cemetery. A regular summer morning in Centralia, but then days passed, and the smoke was still there, thin, wispy, like the earth was quietly exhaling. They tried to put it out, again and again, but the smoke never stopped. Soon people began to notice a strange smell. Not garbage, not plastic, something else, sweet, but not of this world. When they dug down, there was no flame, only heat, as if a massive furnace was quietly burning somewhere deep below. No one thought it was anything serious. Probably just leftover ash, they said. But underground, something else was happening. The fire didn't burn like we know it. No columns of smoke, no blasts or booms. Just crawled, slipping through cracks in the rock, touching veins of coal, like a creature searching for a way to stay alive. The coal beneath Centralia wasn't ordinary. It held heat and fed itself. No open flame needed, just a bit of warmth, and it would start to smolder. Picture this, the layers of rock beneath your feet, slowly darkening, growing hotter. No sound, no warning, no flames, but you're standing on a giant stove, quietly waking up. The fire didn't travel in a straight line. It slithered through cracks carved decades ago, back when miners still dug with their bare hands, through old ventilation shafts, now just forgotten chimneys buried in the earth. And every tunnel, every branch it touched, was like giving it another breath. Cold air from the surface pulled downward, oxygen met heat, and just like that, Centralia began to breathe in fire. Imagine this, the ground beneath you looks normal, stable, still. But one wrong step just a few centimeters off, and you could fall into a smoldering sinkhole, choked with toxic gas, bottomless and burning. You might be standing on a paved road, when suddenly it cracks open, releasing thick white smoke, like a breath straight out of hell. And no one knows how far it will spread. A few geologists back then gave a warning. This fire could last for centuries. People laughed. Come on, the rocks will burn out eventually. But Centralia sat atop an ocean of coal, not just a few hundred meters, but stretching for miles beneath the earth. This wasn't a fire. It was a volcano, without a mouth. No eruptions, just a slow, relentless boil, cooking everything above it, like a pressure cooker from hell. Some residents began to dream strange dreams. Dreams where the ground felt soft, like human skin, where rooftops breathed smoke from beneath the floorboards, and a whisper echoed, "Don't touch the ground. It's listening." No one believed, no one knew, but still, no one screamed, no one ran, because this fire had no shape, no face, no sound. It just sat there, beneath the town, waiting and growing. 60 years later, the fire still burns. It sounds like history, but it's not. It's still happening, still spreading year after year, still alive, as if the earth itself is feeding it. Locals say, on early mornings when mist covers the rooftops, the ground feels warm. Not the warmth of sunlight, but the kind of warmth that rises from coal, still burning deep below. A heat that doesn't come from the sky, but from underneath, from layers of stone, quietly turning to vapor. It didn't roar like a wildfire. It didn't explode like a house fire. It simply existed, silently. 482 degrees Celsius, then 563, then 600. Numbers. Cold, clinical numbers, but hot enough to melt soft metals, boil asphalt, and turn solid rock into vapor. In 1981, a 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski stepped out into his backyard. It was just an ordinary afternoon, until the ground beneath him split open, and he fell, straight down, more than 150 feet, into a pit where temperatures topped 500 degrees Celsius. And the air was thick with carbon monoxide, like the smoke from a crematorium. By some miracle, Todd survived. But Centralia did not, because that was the day everyone realized the ground beneath them had betrayed them. A year later, the U.S. Congress passed an emergency act, $42 million to help people leave the only home they'd ever known. Two options were offered: take the full payout and leave forever, or stay, take less, and fight a legal battle no one would win. Many chose to go, but some refused to abandon the fire. By 1992, the town began to disappear, not by war, not by flood, but by bulldozers, jackhammers, and the cold silence of bureaucracy. The school vanished. The post office shut down. Even the town's zip code was officially revoked in 2002. From that point on, Centralia ceased to exist on paper. It became just a crack in the memory of those who once called it home. Beneath the ground, it still breathes. Each gust of cold wind sinking downward carries fresh oxygen, feeding yet another hidden vein of coal. It's like a creature without a face, no eyes, no voice, only heat, and an unshakable will to survive. People call this place a ghost town, but the truth is, it never really died. It just slipped out of sight. Today you can stand on what used to be Centralia, once a town of streets and homes. Now just cracked pavement, warm soil, and scattered warning signs. Danger, underground fire, toxic gas, ground may collapse. It inspired Silent Hill. Dozens of horror films, video games, rock songs, and environmental studies. It stands as a living warning that a single mistake in resource management can become a disaster lasting centuries. And if you stay quiet, listen closely, in the dead of night, you might hear it. A faint hiss, rising from somewhere beneath the earth. Not the wind, not the soil, but the fire, smiling. Centralia was once filled with laughter. Over 1,000 people called it home. A place where they were born, grew up, did well in school, dreamed big. Where words like future and happiness were spoken every day. But in the early 1980s, everything started to change. Not because of war, not because of storms, but because of something rising slowly from deep beneath the earth. It was a typical morning in 1981. Footsteps echoed on the streets, kids walking to school, delivery trucks rumbling away from the market. But within just a few more weeks, a strange smell began to creep into every home. Faint, acrid, not quite coal, not quite fire. One day someone opened their front door, and the first thing they said was, "Oh God, smell of sulfur." That thick, unmistakable scent of something deadly. And this time everyone heard it. Everyone understood. This wasn't trash smoke. This wasn't a forest fire. This was the fire of hell, hiding deep beneath their very own ground. The town council only wanted to give them enough time for one last cup of coffee. But now they had to choose, to stay or escape. They closed the school. Only the church remained, where the elderly gathered on Sunday mornings. They shut down the market, cut the phone lines, and poured silence across once familiar streets. A few homes still stood, a few walls still clung to memories, and a map, marked in red, zip code 17927, now gone. And just like that, Centralia disappeared. Not because of an explosion, but because of the earth itself, turning against its people. By 1992, another sign became painfully clear. Centralia's zip code was officially revoked by the U.S. Postal Service, as if they had erased the town from the phone lines, from the system. They locked away its name and declared, Centralia no longer exists. Today, drones rise over Centralia, pulling away from the last church still standing. 4 silent walls, facing the sky, a prayer with no one left to hear it, like a final witness, a symbol of everything that's been lost to ash. When you open your eyes again, what you see is devastation, empty space, withered trees, cracked stone, and with every breath, You can almost hear it. Hell, still breathing beneath you. With every step you take, you feel it, an invisible fear. The ground beneath you could collapse at any moment. Sudden sinkholes meters wide, opening up with white smoke, like the breath of some creature slowly waking. You might see an old porch collapsing in seconds. No loud crash, just silence. A tiled front yard, now just a smoking pit. Vapors rising from deep within the earth. And a small, weathered warning sign, barely standing on cracked soil. Danger, mine fire, hazardous gases. Don't be fooled. The smoke you see isn't just morning mist. Sometimes it drifts gently, like incense. Other times, it swirls thick around you, like a thin veil drawn straight from hell. And behind that white haze lurks carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, invisible killers. No color, no smell, at least not until it's too late. But they can take your life in just a matter of minutes. Today, Centralia still draws a certain kind of visitor. People obsessed, curious souls seeking to feel the scent of death from hell itself. They walk slowly along the old graffiti highway, once covered in art and symbols of rebellion. But one wrong step, and you could fall into a hidden sinkhole, or inhale a breath of toxic gas. Some have said, I felt like I was choking after less than 2 minutes. I heard the ground crumble beneath me, then laughter, and then silence. No one knows if it was just imagination or something else that doesn't belong to this world. On a split screen, on one side, Centralia, cracked roads, white smoke rising, faded warning signs. On the other, Silent Hill, moss-covered streets, shadows moving, flickering lights, as if Centralia had become a real-life version of Silent Hill, peaceful on the surface, but hiding something, waiting underneath. Grass grows through the cracks in the road. Heat-resistant shrubs have replaced the gardens. The ecosystem still exists, but bears the marks of contamination. As for humans, only 5 elderly residents chose to stay, like solitary ghosts, generating their own electricity, water, living among the smoke. They didn't flee. They weren't afraid to die. They simply chose to live with something that's no longer soil, but compressed, burning coal beneath their feet. When you stand on that ground, look around at the stillness, hear the faint beep, beep, and feel the warmth rising from below, you begin to understand. This isn't just some thrill-seeking tale, not just curiosity gone too far. This is a warning, a lesson about how we treat nature, about how we define existence, and about the value of a human life when it stands on a foundation built from forgetting. You know Silent Hill, the horror game, the eerie storyline, but have you ever wondered, where did that feeling come from? Centralia. It's not just white smoke and cracked roads. It's a psychological space of being trapped, left behind, caught in fog and shattered memories. And that was the very first ingredient that gave birth to Silent Hill. When you look at that lone image of Centralia, streets split with root-like cracks, white smoke rising in thick, heavy clouds, a solitary church standing in the middle of dead land, what you're seeing is not an abandoned town, but a real-life frame of Silent Hill. In the game, moss-covered houses, smoke columns like drifting fog, and the cold wind howling through empty streets. Silent Hill wasn't born from a keyboard. It was created from a moment of real fear. Imagine yourself walking into Silent Hill, not the scent of damp soil, but something heavier, the lingering smoke of a fire that never died, the invisible sting of toxic air, the light, dim like it's filtered through fog. You're just a passerby, and so is Centralia. It's not fully forbidden, but the moment you step in, you feel it, a creeping unease, the sound of fog rolling in, like something is walking right behind you. In Silent Hill, you find the remnants of lives left behind. Old cars, empty cribs, half-broken objects. In Centralia it's the same. A worn school desk with one leg missing, a road slowly warping out of shape, a torn sign, only a few faded letters left. Both places hold a mystery, with no ending, and you, the one who walks in, are nothing more than a side character, in a memory that's falling apart. Walking down Graffiti Highway, the real-world version, you see scribbles, splashes of color, chaotic drawings, as if someone tried to paint over the sorrow. Likewise in the game, you see death, you see fog, you're trapped, but you keep going. You try to make sense of it. So between Centralia and Silent Hill, what's real? What's imagined? Where's the line between fate and fiction? Centralia didn't just inspire the Silent Hill video game or the film of the same name. It also shaped music, comics, even the haunting tones of rock guitar. Because in Centralia, death wasn't the end. It became a spark of creation, a bridge from smoke to mythology. The sacred emerged from a town that chose to die, but continues to live on through art. And when you hear the line, you're just a passerby. Let the camera slowly pan from the game scene soft and hazy to the real Centralia. You see, no dramatic fog, just a fragile mist. Everything seems intentionally quiet. That feeling you can't describe in words. Silent Hill turned death into a feeling, an existence caught between hell and reality. Centralia used real smoke to trap you in memory. So, do you still dare to go further? To find out what lies beneath the smoke? You're not the main character, but through your eyes, you can witness a story long lost, and something that never sleeps. Could it be the face of an urban soul named Centralia? Centralia began with something seemingly harmless, burning trash to clear the roads for Memorial Day. Centralia began with something seemingly harmless, burning trash to clear the roads for Memorial Day. But when a careless act became the official spark for fire, everything changed forever. Beneath the surface, burning coal releases CO, carbon monoxide. Colorless, odorless, but enough to knock you out in just minutes. Illustration, animation. Green, smooth earth slowly turns gray and clumpy with ash. Layers of CO quietly seep into tree roots, bushes, gardens. And you realize, CO isn't just a number. It's life being stalked. We've built barriers, warning signs, danger zones, gas detectors beeping non-stop, heat sensors, GPS tracking ground sinkage. Yes, they feel like fortresses, but the saddest truth? The fire still stands, unyielding. In the animation you watch, the smooth green of hope slowly fade away. Then everything turns to ashen gray. The grass that once covered the land, now nothing but coal dust. All life, all sound, all memory, disappearing into a mix of sorrow and ash. Don't let kids play with fire, because beneath the ground there are things the eye can't see. Ash may die out, but poisons, like CO, don't vanish naturally. They spread year after year, from one layer of earth to another, and slip through entire lifetimes, passed from parent to child. Centralia is a lesson we must never forget. Whether you live in a city or the countryside, remember, one small act can release CO, SO2, poison the soil, let silent gases spread. But you hold one power: to obey, to monitor, to stay alert. Even now, every warning still matters. Centralia doesn't need to be remembered to make you afraid, but to make you learn. One small spark, one simple decision, one "it'll be fine," could become the price a whole town pays with silence. You're listening now, not because you want to be haunted, but because something inside you wants to wake up. And I, Elias Greywind, will always be at the gate, waiting for your return. Anytime you need a story, If you'd like a place to come back to each night, stop by Stories for a Restful Soul, where I'll always be here waiting. And if these stories have touched something quiet within you, consider subscribing to Elias Greywind, Stories for a Restful Soul, so that each night I, your gatekeeper of peace, can tell you just one more tale before you drift away. Wishing you the deepest, most peaceful sleep.